Mm-hmm.
So you and I have not yet discussed this Liam Neeson situation.
Yeah, I didn't know much about it. I heard bits and pieces.
His premiere was canceled. He was on a junket, and the movie's called Revenge or something, and the interviewer goes, well, how do you tap into that revenge, that kind of, intensity? And he told this story about a friend of his 40 years ago getting raped, and that he went out for 5 nights after that into African-American communities looking for someone to fight with, and with the intent to kill that person if they came onto him. And he said after a period of time, he kind of came to him and went, Jesus, what's the matter with me? And, quote, got help. And that created quite a stir.
Well, I'd like to hear, is it on tape?
It is on tape. It's a pretty easy thing. When he reiterated, what he did was Robin Roberts interviewed him on Good Morning America the next day, and got some interesting stuff out of him.
Cold Pursuit is the name of the movie, about a father trying to get revenge of the death of his son.
Yeah.
So he had a friend of his get raped.
Yep. And by a black guy.
Right.
And so he went out into this, just randomly into a black community looking for somebody to attack him so he could kill them. And he said, if we find this video, you'll see, he said, I don't care if it was a red-haired Irish guy. I would have gone to an Irish community, done the same thing. If it was a Lithuanian, I would have done the same thing. I was just crazed with anger over this event, and he never, this is what I would criticize him for. He at no point went, I was stereotyping, I was bigoted, I was categorizing people, it's racist, and I my God, I woke up and thought, I can't believe I'm that way. It was a blind spot, and I spent every day since paying attention. He doesn't say anything like that. He just says, like, I'd go after anybody that looked like anybody who had done this rape, and I would have killed him.
And it is weird. I mean, I do think about this. Like, sometimes there'll be that person, and they come into your home, and they go, oh, you got to put the dog away. And then you go, why do I have to put the dog away? And then they go, that person got bit by a dog when they were 4, and then they don't like being about dogs. And I was like, well, what if you did that with black people or any other group? Like, well, I mean, my point is
let me go further.
I'm saying get over it to the person.
It's better than that. Now we go to safe spaces and can't be offended.
Right.
And what do we do psychiatrically if somebody has like a phobia?
Expose them to it.
Exposure.
That's right. Hair of the dog.
That's right.
All right, so here's
Speaking
Liam.
Of which, I still use some bourbon.
Thank you.
Just thought
here she is.
I'm going to order it now.
Here's Liam with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America.
Liam Neeson, who has a new movie out. It's called Cold Pursuit. And just 24 hours ago, he made headlines for talking about an incident that happened decades earlier involving a very close friend of his who he says was assaulted. And Liam, first of all, I really appreciate your willingness to have this discussion, because when it comes to race, it can be very uncomfortable for people. And it just caught people off guard how you responded when you were asked about revenge. And do you want to explain what you said?
Yeah, we were doing a press junket, and it was... the topic of our film is revenge, and it's a dark comedy too, but its base is revenge. And the lady journalist was asking me, how do you tap into that? And I remembered an incident nearly 40 years ago where a very dear friend of mine was brutally raped. And I was out of the country, and when I came back, she told me about this. And she handled the situation herself and her rapist incredibly bravely, I have to say that. But I had never felt this feeling before, which was a primal urge to lash out. I asked her, did you know the person? It was a man. No. His race? She said he was a black man. I thought, okay. And after that, there were some nights I went out deliberately into black areas in this city looking to be set upon so that I could unleash physical violence. And I did it for I'd say maybe 4 or 5 times, until I caught myself on. And it really shocked me, this primal urge I had. It shocked me and it hurt me. I did seek help. I went to a priest. I heard my confession. I was reared a Catholic. I had 2 very, very good friends that I talked to. And believe it or not, power walking.
Power walking.
Yeah, 2 hours every day.
You got to walk and listen to
get rid
classical.
of this. And I'm not racist. This was nearly 40 years ago, but because I was brought up in, maybe I'm rabbiting on, Rob, so forgive me. I was brought up in the north of Ireland and brought up in the Troubles, the 60s, 70s, and early 80s.
And can you explain to people what that is?
The Troubles,
the religion?
Yeah, there was a war going on in the north of Ireland. And
all right, we get it, right?
Yeah.
I had acquaintances.
And he went on to say, we know what matter whether it was Catholic or Lithuanians or whatever, he would have felt the same way, done the same thing.
Yeah.
And
so what happened?
He no point said, never commented on his own stereotyping, bigotry, and racism. And I think that's where he got caught. Now, I played this on my radio program today, and almost everyone came to his defense. And I spoke to several dozen African Americans, and they all went, "No, he's not a racist. This isn't racist. This is not. This is stereotyping. It's bigotry and whatnot, but not racist." I don't feel like he set out with a racist intent, which I was confused by, because to me it felt like that was a blind spot. He didn't realize he was racist. He learned he was racist. He's got to watch himself, But it was kind of a whole. It's been a strange thing. I'll tell you what bothered me more than anything.
Is he allowed to work now, or what?
Well,
happened?
that's the point. Is the company now pulls the premiere and stuff? That's the part I think.
Oh,
is
they
wrong.
pulled the
premiere of the show, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's the stuff that's got to stop. The businesses have to stop preventing people from going about their business, because it's their first move needs to be, okay, we're going to look into this. First move, not firing. First move, no firing, no change of plans while we look into this. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it's a mob that's just doing anything to anybody.
Yeah, well, I don't, movie premieres are different than getting fired from your teaching job. But the notion that whether you're a teacher, Liam Neeson, or you work for Google or whatever it is, which is like, well, we're going to fire you and then we'll sort this thing out.
Yeah.
It's sort of like saying, well, we're going to put you in prison and then we're going to sort this thing out. Yeah. And it's sort of like, well, that's not really how we're set up.
We're not supposed to be. That's how some countries are set up. We specifically went out of our way to not be set up that way.
Right.